Hello, everybody, live from SoFi Stadium in beautiful Inglewood, California. It's the O-ZONE. I'm your host, Omar Miller. I'm here with my brother from the same mother as usual, Terry Miller, also known as the Icon. Oh! I know. It's so beautiful to be back at the house. Wow. Anywho, been a minute. We've been sports junkies. There's been so much sports on lately, I can hardly even stay awake at the end of the day like I played all the games.
Right.
What is going on? We got a lot to cover. Some major upsets in the world of boxing. Some major delusions in the world of boxing. I really want to discuss this. Yeah.
Delusions of grandeur.
Of grandeur. Of ultimate grandeur. Of greatest of all time grandeur. Some serious talks going on. But I want to start off with a game so fine it's played on diamonds. It's October. That means October baseball is here, and there's nothing like it in all of sports. We witnessed a fantastic Game 5, which felt like a Game 7 between the Dodgers and the Giants.
Right.
And Coach Dave Roberts, as he's done more times than not over his tenure, pushed the right buttons and got it done. I don't always agree with Coach. I actually prefer a more traditional, as a fan of the Dodgers, I prefer a more traditional approach to the game. But
are you really a fan, though?
I digress. Why
you have if you're a fan.
That would be regress. Yeah, I am a fan of the Dodgers for the most part. But, you know, he pushed the buttons in this San Francisco Giants game, and in the series, they got it done. One thing about the Dodgers, you can see a confidence that they play with, that they can be down in a game or in the series and come back. Problem is that oftentimes can get a little too comfortable and things can slip away, and this is the position that they could be in against the Braves.
Right. Everybody's looking for a cakewalk right now, thinking that Walker Buehler's going to come out there and carve the Braves up. I don't know if it's going to go like that. And not only that, Charlie Morton is a big game pitcher.
And he pitches well at Dodger Stadium, which he showed in the World Series when he was with the Astros.
And he has the Dodgers kryptonite, which is breaking balls.
Yes.
A lot of them. With some high velo.
I want to address something, though, before that.
I know what you want to address.
I know you do, but I want the fans to know.
Come on.
Arguably the greatest player in baseball today is Mookie Betts, overall player. I think, you know, Shohei Ohtani, if we just had to pick one guy, Shohei Ohtani is the best guy, all-around guy in baseball. He's the best baseball player in the world right now.
Yes.
But if you take the aggregate of the past 5-7 years, it's either Mookie Betts or Mike Trout. Just plain and simple. Those numbers don't lie. Both of those dudes put up numbers, and they both impact the game. It's not really Mike Trout's fault that the Angels refused to get some pitching or some help. But none of that matters for what we're about to talk about. Mookie Betts went 4 for 4 in the championship game of the division series. He played stellar defense the entire series.
Stellar base running.
Oppo Taco bomb that got the party really wide open in the game in Game 4 for them to even get to an elimination game. Tremendous base running. Incredible at bats. He's the only person that could figure out Logan Webb. Once again, he was the cause of the Dodgers winning the game. Cody Bellinger
finally made contact.
He got him a big knock in Game 2.
Got him a knock.
In Game 2 as well.
Yeah.
But then but for the most part, he's been underwhelming.
Yes.
He got a big knock, bad sequence by Buster Posey. Buster Posey calling those games. But whatever. Cody Bellinger came through clutch, which is great. Yet, I would be remiss to not note, immediately after the game, all of the media flocked to Cody Bellinger, as though this was some giant redemption song and so on and so forth. The reason I bring this up is because last year in the postseason, when Cody Bellinger actually was showing his ass, actually Cody Bellinger was balling out, but he still wasn't more valuable than Mookie Betts.
Corey Seager either. And Corey Seager got the MVP.
And I just want to speak on it because nobody will speak on it, and it's un-PC to speak on it, especially if it's, you know, your team. But I'm a firm believer that if you love something or someone, you can criticize them for their flaws. And I love the game of baseball.
Speak the truth.
But I want to shame the devil. I want to speak the truth and shame the devil, brother.
Come on now. Come on.
Well,
open the doors of the church. Let's go.
That's right. And there's a problem. Why can't we talk to Mookie Betts after the game?
Right.
Why can't Mookie Betts hold an MVP when it's clear for baseball people, if you watch the game, he is the X factor that took the Dodgers over the hump?
Because they haven't not,
who I love.
Right, but they have not been able to get over the hump for I don't know how many years.
They won 8 years in a row. They won the division, whatever it is.
He gets there, you win the championship. He shows you how to win. And it's not a knock.
It's basic math.
Yes. But let's not act like he's not the X factor. He's the one that's stirring the drink. You know what? He's
All
strong.
the time.
Yes. When you guys can't show up in big time situations, this cat comes out there and gives you a 4 for 4.
4 for 4 with great at bats. Not
Great
even like
at
a 4
bats.
for 4. We're talking about 4 for 4 with 3-2 counts, 3-1
Right.
counts.
Right.
He lays off of the low outside slider that nobody else could lay off.
Right.
He lays off of the changeup.
Puts himself in a situation to win, which is to get into a hitter's count and then executes.
And then snatch a bag.
Yeah.
An important bag.
An important bag. Come
Then
on, John.
Corey Seager shows up and goes down the line
Yes.
for a knock.
Uh-huh.
Come on, man. I just need recognition for Mookie Betts. I want you guys to call in or send me a DM or whatever. Speak about it. You can find us at 323-254-ZONE. That's 323-254-9663. Leave us a message. I want to hear what you guys have to say about that because I know I can't be the only one that recognizes that.
Well, you know, I've been screaming Mookie Betts from the top of the mountains forever.
Yeah.
You know, and I just don't think that the sport respects him like that. He's a great talent. He's not a big guy in stature.
He's everything that's right with baseball in the sense
Exactly.
that baseball, unlike any other sport, you don't have to be a giant.
No, you have to have a giant heart.
You have to have a giant heart and skill and discipline.
Yes.
But he also tops that off with athleticism. He's faster than people think he is. He's got a better arm than people think he has. He's got more pop than people think he has. You know, it's a trippy thing.
And his will to win is
really
just
bothers me. I really need to get that off my chest.
Now that you got it off your chest.
Let's speak about the series at hand now. Now the Dodgers have figured out how to trick off the games 1 and 2. They had the opportunity to win both games.
But I don't call it
game 2 more than game 1.
Yeah, but they didn't really trick it off. It was
They tricked off game 2.
It was an opportunity.
If you're up 2-1, the Dodgers are something 41-0 when leading after
Past tense.
after yeah, they were 41-0 when leading after 7 or something like that, 7 or 8. And this was completely unacceptable. The analytics went totally crazy. The analytics don't work in small sample sizes. I'm not an analytics guy, I'm a feeling guy, but even though I respect the analytics, it works over 162 games. The analytics don't work over 5 games and 7-game periods.
I don't believe that they work in 162. They work in certain situations. You know, you can look at the probabilities and things like that when it comes to maybe an at-bat when a guy gets in a certain count or something. But I don't believe in the shifts like that. Ozzie Albies made the difference by hitting against the shift.
Exactly.
You know, actually, so did Cody Bellinger against the Giants.
That's exactly what happened.
Yes.
Both times.
But if you're going to live by the analytics, you have to die by them. And the
The
analytics
Dodgers are willing to do that.
And it looks like that's
very difficult.
Yeah, but and it looks like that's where they're headed right now because
Yeah.
they're down and they're in a tough matchup today.
Julio Urias is the Major League Baseball's only 20-game winner this year.
The winningest pitcher in baseball this year.
Only 20-game winner.
And we got him coming out the
He's a Cy
bullpen.
Young candidate, and we got him coming out the bullpen in the same way that we had Clayton Kershaw coming out the bullpen against the Nationals for no reason. Clayton Kershaw I just don't understand where these numbers come up to add up.
Well, you have to ask the analytic department because you can't quantify a lot of things. You can't quantify how you're going to perform in pressure situations, especially if you've never been there.
Is a pressure guy. I don't think it's
I think so too.
Situation.
I think he's one of those guys that has heart.
He has big heart.
But you can't put a sensor on that. You can't put, the analytics can't tell you what
gauge clutch.
Yeah, they can't gauge that. You can make up something like WAR, but it's not going to tell you that a guy like Urias needs to be starting the game. And then I'm telling you from a baseball perspective, the more I see a guy, the more I'm going to be effective. So if you keep throwing him out there, he's going to be less effective.
I agree. And let's speak about the other elephant in the room that nobody wants to talk about, which is Trey Turner.
Oh my goodness. Trey Turner's at the point where you either need to sit him down or drop him to the bottom of the drop him to the but speed doesn't work if you're not on base.
But
and then he's not even
on base, and he started stealing. He's changed it around a little bit here in Atlanta, but still, I'm bringing it up because I've been watching Trey Turner, and he was fantastic this season. He's fantastic as an acquisition.
Yes.
Yet at the same time, since the playoffs started, he looks lost.
Yes, he's disappeared.
He looks, but
they have him in critical spots.
He's in a 3-hole.
Yes, he's in a 3-hole. He was in a 2-hole. He was,
I've only seen him in a 3-hole.
I thought I saw him in a 2-hole before, but the bottom line is that he's being overmatched.
He's being overmatched, and it's mental. It's not a physical thing.
No.
You don't hit 322 as on a fluke in Major League Baseball.
He's guessing. He doesn't have confidence.
Fastest guy
he doesn't have confidence.
So many double plays.
Yeah, he doesn't have confidence, and it shows when he's up at bat. And the Braves, a team that he faced a lot of times, he's struggling against them. They know his weaknesses. Although he's had more hits against the Braves than he has pretty much. He looks
Giants.
Because he's in a familiar situation.
Yeah.
In the East.
Yeah.
But I think that he should either be dropped to the bottom of the lineup or taken out of the game because sometimes he looks terrible. I mean, literally terrible. That he
not just non-productive at bats, anti-productive at bats. He has.
Yeah,
Crazy.
it's terrible. I mean, it's. I'm almost embarrassed to look at sometimes when you watch his at bats.
Wow.
Yeah, because you can almost see what's going to happen when you play baseball and you watch guys and you can see that they don't have their confidence anymore.
Yeah,
it's hard to watch.
Yeah, especially guys like him, guys like Cody Bellinger.
Uh-huh.
It's such a confidence-based sport because it's a failure sport.
Right, and you have to get over it.
That's why it's such a great starter for life.
Right.
Everybody should play baseball. Everybody should play on a baseball team, regardless of whether or not you excel or go forward on a high level in baseball because of what it teaches you about life.
Right.
You have to move forward even when you fail. In spite of failure, you still have to move forward.
And a prime example of that is Chris Taylor. Chris Taylor didn't have a great year, by his standards, but now he's one of the best players on the team besides Mookie Betts.
Yeah. Had a brain fart. I would have cost them in game 1. But what can you do?
Yeah, but that didn't mean that he was going to score either way.
I agree. I agree.
But he's a guy that probably should be in the 3-hole.
But Mookie Betts was coming up. But I agree.
You can walk Mookie.
Now you can walk Mookie.
Yeah.
Just not for me.
But Chris Taylor could be in the 3-hole. Chris Taylor could be in the 2-hole. Instead, Chris Taylor is in the middle or sort of towards the bottom of the lineup. And he's performing. He's still producing. But
now, once again,
a guy like
give credit to Dave Roberts because the coach is having to deal with some stuff. For example, Max Muncy with this dislocated elbow really hurt because he is a clutch ball player. He gets big knocks.
Yeah.
And he plays good defense. And he's another one of those versatile dudes who could actually play first or second. Not that they need him to.
Yeah.
The Dodgers got to show up. Today is the day that they have to win. And Walker Buehler is in, line for Cy Young voting, as is Urias, as is Max Scherzer. To be honest, Max Scherzer was way more effective than I expected him to be.
He was, and I think that they might have taken him out prematurely.
I feel the same way.
They should have let him run it out there. I mean, keep running. I'm sure that the analytics said that, you know what, he's going to...
Third time through the lineup.
He's going to get gutted.
Yeah.
Let him get gutted. He's supposed...
I don't think he's going to get...
I don't either, but I agree. Are you going to bring out somebody that's better...
This is what it comes down to.
And I don't think that you were.
No.
And he wasn't at 120 pitches, although you have that marker now that 120 or 100 pitches is too many. I think he was, in the high 70s or something like that?
He definitely wasn't...
But he wasn't worn out.
Wasn't empty.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yesterday was the great Willie Horton's birthday, and I had a conversation with him. He was talking about the game and how this version of pitching that they do now with openers instead of starters and so on and so forth, it doesn't allow pitchers to actually craft a game plan to go through lineups for multiple times.
Right.
Which thus makes them lesser of what it is that they have the strength to do to go in their toolbox and use all their tools.
Right. So potential-wise, we're killing it. Just think about a guy like Justin Verlander or even Max Scherzer in their earlier parts of their career.
Man.
They would never be where they are now or where they, because they got to 100 pitches and you decide to pull them, or they get two guys on base and you take them out.
You're hoping that they take Justin Verlander.
Yeah, they're like, oh, thanks, dude.
And they won't.
Yeah. No.
Jimmy Leland's not taking them out.
No, he's going to throw 120, 140 pitches.
Whatever it takes.
Like Nolan Ryan. Nolan Ryan throw 200 pitches. I'm not taking him out. He's going to figure it out.
Ian is better than
Tom Seaver, he's going to have to figure it out. Pedro Martinez, that's not my problem. If you don't want a bad ERA, shut people down.
Shut people down. And you're ace.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You're the ace. So, Dodgers in a serious situation tonight. I hope they pull it out. I expect a tight game again because I don't expect Charlie Morton. Yeah, I expect Charlie Morton to be on his game. And Walker Buehler's really tough at home, and he's now on regular rest, so I think he should be tough as well. But the Braves have the confidence of 2 comebacks, belief, and, Freddie Freeman's starting to hit the ball, which is dangerous.
Yes.
And he's playing at the house because he's from here. So it's very interesting to see what will happen with Freddie Freeman. But let's talk about what's important. Which is the trash Astros.
Well. Is that for Halloween? The sweet deal.
Well, your favorite team is looking terrible.
They are terrible.
They lost one pitcher, and all of a sudden it seemed like they had no pitchers.
They lost more than one pitcher.
No, I'm just saying between the last series and this series.
Oh, they've lost
the snot out of the White Sox.
Yeah, but they've lost 2 pitchers. They lost 2 starters, and now they're going against the best team, the other best team of the in the American League. I mean, so now and every day's a bullpen day for them now, and they're not built like that.
Bullpen day, and it's just
they're not built like that.
No, And it's not like the Red Sox have devastating pitching. In
No.
all honesty, at this point, I favor whoever wins the National League over the American League because they got no pitching.
No.
And both of the National League teams have pitching.
But, the Dodgers would have to win, I do believe, in order for them to have home field advantage. Otherwise, you play in the American League, and then you got the DH, which makes the big difference for a team like the Red Sox.
Makes a big difference for the Red Sox.
Yeah, so for the Red Sox, it would be, as a matter of fact, the Dodgers have home field advantage over everybody if they make it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the Braves don't.
I think an extra stick for the Braves is very positive for the Braves. And they got enough pitching so that I don't see them getting shut down by Eduardo Rodriguez or
Eduardo's tough. It's just that
Eduardo's tough when his mind is right. The other day his mind was right.
yeah, which was yesterday, right?
Yesterday his mind was right.
Yeah. But he's just tough, but he's a 5-and-diver almost.
Yeah, and I don't believe in Boston's bullpen.
Yeah.
Now they got that magic. They're sprinkling the pixie dust all over the place now because they believe, and it's nice to see that young Dodgers are out there making it happen. Because Kike Hernandez is unstoppable. Alex Verdugo is playing very smart baseball and playing a good outfield.
Right.
And I'm not.
And Nathan Eovaldi.
And how about Nathan Eovaldi, another Dodgers product, and JD Martinez is just showing out. I mean, forget about it.
He's big time when he's supposed to be.
He is.
This is what it's about.
He is.
But this is why it's a team sport.
Now they're down 2-1. They're playing again today. What do you think happens?
Well, Zach Greinke is supposed to be pitching. If they could still win in Boston, they still have a chance. But other than that, it's probably lights out.
Yeah, it just doesn't look good. The way that the games are going, nothing.
I honestly believe that the American League teams are better than the Dodgers.
You just hate the Dodgers.
That's true too.
You don't win 106 games on a fluke,
But then you don't make it to the playoffs or the championship either on a fluke. So
I agree, but
especially from the East.
I'm talking about from what they've lost.
Yeah,
they've lost a lot.
Yeah,
they've lost a lot. That's not the same Astros team that was busting them up even 2 weeks ago, let alone a month ago, 2 months ago, where they're pumping on all cylinders.
Yeah.
And losing McCullers is huge. Have they said that McCullers is coming back or not coming back?
They haven't said. I don't think he's coming back this series, though. I doubt it.
He's not even on the roster.
I don't think that. I think he's finished because you can't take a chance of blowing his elbow out
again. Yeah, he's already had Tommy John.
Yeah, for this, right?
Tough stuff. All right, well, we got a game coming up shortly. By the time you guys listen to this, we will know the outcome of the next Dodger game, which is critical. Moving on. Huge upset in boxing this weekend. Mikey Garcia lost a fight to a European titleist. Mr. Martin came in and put in work. And the one thing I like to see about that is when guys get their opportunity, they capitalize.
Right. He was a gamer.
He was a gamer, but we're talking about something that happened where we have to wonder if Mikey Garcia lost his prime with lawsuits and with inactivity. I'm a firm believer that although it raises your risk of CTE and brain damage and so on and so forth, inactivity is the enemy of all fighters. And Mikey doesn't fight enough.
But he stays in the gym. I think that the biggest
problem. He stays in the gym, but he's not in the ring for fights. Why is Mikey fighting in Fresno? Mikey's a big-time dude. And when we spoke before the fight, he was talking about how he's got his sights set on Regis Prograis, Josh Taylor.
And maybe that was the problem.
You can't overlook. I didn't like that talk anyways. You can't overlook the guy that's in front of you.
Well, and he paid the price for it.
He did.
He
did because he's taking a major PR hit on this. And, Mikey's a perennial pound-for-pound guy. He stayed at the top of the pound-for-pound list on my pound-for-pound list for years.
Now, do you have him on there now?
Can't. Not after that. Not after that showing. You can't.
The guy looked good, and I heard a couple of people trying to
knock the guy, right?
Yeah, trying to knock the guy. The guy did what he was supposed to do.
He did,
and he was mixing it up. He was in and out. He was throwing angles. Use his size advantage. And Mikey is not the same fighter actually after Errol put that on him. So to be honest, he's still good. But
I think that remains to be seen because what he did do was he continued to fight at welterweight, which he shouldn't have done.
No, because he doesn't have that tone.
Yeah, he needs it. I don't know if he can make 135 anymore because it's, very hard.
Right.
But I still don't see anybody beating Mikey at 135. He's too fundamentally sound.
After this last showing, we have to see him come back from this fight.
We need to see him come back, and hopefully it's sooner than later.
Yeah, because they're going to have a rematch, I'm sure, right?
I don't know. I don't know what's going on. They were in the locker room afterwards. It looked like all love. It looked cheers. It looked like it was not a big deal, which was interesting.
Yeah, that's a problem.
It's a problem. Great fight coming up this weekend. We're going to come back to you to talk to you about that because we want to speak about Jamel Herring and Shakur Stevenson. Mm-hmm. This is a fight I'm really excited about. I'm going to try to see if we can get one of these guys on to speak about it. Herring Stevenson's a very, very good fight. I believe what I want to top off this conversation with.
Top us off.
I would like to get a sports psychologist on at some point, because it's not just limited to sports, but I'm blown away by the concept of the prisoner of the moment.
And we have a lot of prisoners right now in our camp.
I have so many people who have hit me after the Deontay Wilder Tyson Fury rematch and asked, who do you think is greatest of all time could beat Tyson Fury? Could anybody ever beat Tyson Fury? He's just so big, blah, 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 blah. I'm blown away by you guys with this nonsense talk.
It's really nonsense.
I like Tyson Fury a lot as far as him as a boxer. I like as far as him coming back from depression and the inspiration. Him overcoming.
And he's a person of faith.
Everybody agreed that Deontay Wilder was a one-trick pony in the sense that he was a massive thumper. Everyone in the boxing world agreed that he needed more tools in his toolbox or to use the tools that he had.
Even he agreed to that.
Even he agreed on this podcast.
Yes.
So, if we go back over the sum total of Tyson Fury's resume, he's beaten Wilder 2 times convincingly. In my opinion, he beat him all 3 times, but he beat him 2 times officially convincingly. And he beat a washed Vladimir Klitschko. If you can not even call him washed if you don't want to call him washed. That's fine.
Yeah. That's his one elite fighter on his whole resume.
One elite fighter on the whole resume. He's defended his title once. And you guys are out here trying to call him the greatest of all time? You're wondering if Muhammad Ali could figure out Tyson Fury?
Come on, man. He couldn't beat Larry Holmes. I can go down the list. Larry Holmes would destroy him. You want to go jab for jab? I mean,
I don't think any of the elite fighters would let somebody who's a sloppy fighter beat them. And I think that Tyson Fury on certain nights looks sharp, really sharp.
Right.
But his body is always sloppy. And you even saw in the first part of that fight, Deontay went to the body and he felt that.
Right.
He made adjustments because fundamentally he knows he's a better skill set boxer than Deontay.
And they already knew that once they hit him hard enough, meaning Deontay Wilder, yes, he would revert to his old self. And he did. And then they just went right back to the old game plan.
Yeah.
So for myself, I like to see him fight quality opponents and then give him all of his accolades. Yeah. But until we get there, I'm not ready to anoint him the next comer.
I mean, it's mind-blowing to me because you see it in sports all the time. You watch a team, you say, oh, wow, this is the greatest of all time. You watch a quarterback, oh, this guy's the greatest of all time. You watch a baseball player, man, this dude is the greatest of all time. Baseball is usually better about it than everybody else, but they fell into that with Mike Trout.
Right.
And with the new metrics, which is very interesting. Seeing that it's all fantasy, meaning the matchups, is very difficult to say. But I think it happens not just in sports. It happens for people experientially. And we need the prism of time and distance to actually make these arguments. But
to answer all the what ifs.
To answer all the what ifs. It's a lot easier to see a debacle and clearly quantify that than it is the greatness.
Well, going back to that fight was not the greatest fight of all time. It was entertaining, but
it was entertaining because it was
Tyson Fury did what he was supposed to do. Yes, he did what he was supposed to.
But it was not a highly skilled fight.
No, not by any means. I mean,
it was a lot of bad footwork.
A lot of bad angles, terrible defense.
Tyson Fury even said that Deontay Wilder just refuses to put his left hand up, so he was very easy to hit with right hand.
Yes. And Tyson Fury's body is wide open. It's there all the time.
All the time. Tyson Fury isn't necessarily hard to hit ever.
No. So
he does his head movements sometimes, but he's even gotten away from that.
And I think that the biggest thing psychology-wise is that we're gauging this on him beating the bully because everybody was afraid of Deontay Wilder.
That's what it is.
But he went up there and he's sitting somewhere 400 pounds and looking at him and said, hey, mate,
I can beat that guy.
I can beat that guy.
Right.
And he got up and he got in shape and he did it. He knew that he could do it. He knew that he can do it just by being fundamentally sound. And now, since he went out and beat the guy who was actually beatable, if you stood up to him, now we're surprised. We're saying that he's the greatest of all time. I mean, literally,
even Deontay's resume is better than Tyson Fury's resume,
which is hard. Which is crazy.
On King Kong, if you throw Luis Ortiz, there's a couple fights against Luis Ortiz.
Right.
I think Luis Ortiz is a higher quality opponent than Deontay Wilder is.
No question. He's just old. He's Cuban.
He's old.
Cuban 30-something.
Yeah.
Which is
very, very, very interesting. I mean, I want to go deeper on this, but we're going to do that on an evergreen day when we talk about greatest of all time, because if you think you're going to sit there and thump with George Foreman, you got another thing.
Are you crazy? George Foreman would put him to sleep in probably 4 or 5 rounds.
Well,
one
George
of the greatest
is there to get knocked out or to knock someone out, and 98% of the time,
and George could actually box.
He actually could box.
And George Foreman,
And he was ripped.
yes. If you look at his resume and look at the guys that he fought, I mean, are you kidding? And he has one of the.
This is coming out of a guy who, for his life, was perennially underestimated as an athlete because of his size and sloppiness.
Right.
So I understand the component of Tyson Fury, and I understand the mentality.
And it's not even hate towards Tyson Fury.
Not at all. It's respect. Even when they asked him about it, he was very realistic and respectful about it.
Which is cool. But the thing of it is that when everybody gets lost in the sauce and start talking about he's one of the greatest of all time, he's not even probably in the top 50. To keep it 100. And especially if we talk about
top 50. Damn,
I'm talking about of all the weights.
Oh, I mean top 50.
But even probably top 50 in the heavyweight. So we can run down the list on another day.
On another day. I want to wrap this pod up because we got to get out to the stadium. But I want to wrap this pod up with a quick anecdote about my divorce from the Raiders. How about Jon Gruden? We didn't speak about Chucky.
I'm not surprised. I'm never surprised when these guys actually take off their mask and show us who they are. I mean, because for some reason in society, most people, 95% of this population walks around with the mask on. And then when they get the opportunity to take it off with their peers or someone that they're comfortable with, they'll take it off and show their real self. And when they show their real self, then when everybody else, the other 5%, of when everybody else gets to see that, we're all, whoa, what, can you believe this guy?
And I'm all,
and then you're all.
Clean off the mic after that. No, but it's true. I mean, and he left nobody out.
Why he can't?
He went top to bottom.
Soup to nuts.
Soup to nuts.
I mean, the guy, why are you surprised? Why is anybody surprised that he showed his ugly self? He's
well, I don't know. I mean, that is a bit
ugly.
Yeah, but that's a bit. I don't assume the worst of people. So
yeah, but
saying that there's no surprise in the idea that he comes out and says that a man's lips are like Michelin tires. He comes out and talks about all of the various things that he talked about. I am surprised by.
I'm not.
I'm surprised by the timing of it.
You know how many people, careers and stuff that this dude's probably squashed because of his own internal battles?
Yeah. Like your man.
He screwed a bunch of people over, dude.
He screwed a bunch of people over that he labeled as difficult or whatever. And he had that kind of power.
And he had a bias.
Yeah, and he had a clear bias.
And so for me to act like just dabbling in sports lightly and acting like guys like him aren't like that, I'm not surprised. I mean, when I even played baseball in Orange County for a little while, they told me to go to Compton and play with your people. That's what I got.
Right.
They could say that because they were comfortable back then. It was
100%.
Yeah.
There was no consequence.
No consequence.
No consequence for you to no longer be welcome.
And even if you go back 10 years, exactly. So even if you go back
alienated
10 years and look in somebody's emails and see something like that, it's still not justifiable. Like I said, he's probably ruined a lot of guys' careers.
The coach has a lot of juice.
He has a lot of juice.
A lot of juice on the high school level, let alone the professional level.
Yes.
When you're also the GM,
he can label you something.
Getting $100 million.
It's a good old boys club.
Yeah.
And he ran amok. He did his thing, and he felt comfortable because they don't want to let all the emails, because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people who get hit by that Mack truck.
Yeah.
But he's the guy that's taking the fall for it. But he had to be communicating with somebody.
Well, he was communicating. That's that whole thing. Like they had the situation with the hookers and the cheerleaders and the this, that, and the other over in Washington.
Yeah. But he had to be. What I'm saying, nobody corrected his behavior when you were having a conversation. Like, oh man,
you need to let that go.
You need to calm down, dude. You a little bit. You're a little bit out of control.
A little bit. Juicy lips, just a little bit.
Yeah, but this is what I'm saying. Nobody put any kind of anything on it.
Yeah.
They just let him run amok. So when you get away with a little, then you start doing a lot. And he got away a little, and he started doing a lot. And he felt real comfortable. And he never would think that somebody would go back 10 years and look up some emails and just start, let me dust these things off.
What was the trip, too, is how the other players who played with him said what you're saying, which is, I'm not surprised. Keyshawn, your man Keyshawn came out and said that immediately. Mm-hmm. He was like, I'm not surprised. He was a lip service dude when we were in Tampa, and he reaped the benefits of Tony's system and blah, 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 blah. We won a championship against his old team, which he also knew well. But this is the kind of person that you would think that he would be when you spend time with him.
Right.
in the skin that we're in, if you dig what I'm saying. If you can pick up what I'm putting down, soul brother.
Don't say that to Gruden.
Right on. Chucky. I mean, he tricked it off too, because I think this is it. I don't think there's any comeback. I don't think there's gonna be like an Alex Rodriguez type redemption when you let him come back. You can't have all over the field. Every field in the league has in the end zone messages to erase racism.
Right.
Messages about how we're gonna move forward.
Right. Be
on
tolerant.
His team,
everything.
The first openly homosexual player is on his team.
Right.
The actual a player that's effective, that's open homosexual is on his team.
And not only that,
How was Carlton Sinbad felt about it?
The Raider Nation has always stood for being groundbreaking. You know,
They sure have. That's the truth.
Yeah.
That's
the
the truth.
first Latin quarterback.
Yeah, they always stood for
First black coach.
Yep.
Head coach.
The homie Art.
Yeah, Art Shell.
Yeah, it sure was.
Yeah.
But that's why, and this is part of the reason why I was always down with the Nation. Because even when they played games, the Nation actually did represent, and Al Davis represented progress.
Right.
He was interested in equality and progress and so on and so forth. And his whole thing was just win, baby. I don't care what else is happening.
Right. And obviously
excellence.
And obviously Jon Gruden doesn't believe that.
No.
And now he's going home somewhere with all of his big money and just reaping the benefits, because that's another thing that everybody's not looking at. He's still,
same thing.
Yeah,
he's still a multimillionaire.
He got a big money. They didn't say, okay, we're kicking you out of here and you don't get that cheese.
But what can you do? But see, this is why you have to vet who you give that cheese to in the first place.
And this is what my problem, because that's why I'm saying I'm not surprised, because I'm sure that the NFL already knew these things about him.
And if you have a guy that's sitting back, Jon Gruden's probably made $100 million in his coaching career and his ESPN.
Just going around mugging everybody.
Yeah, putting it on everybody. And then you got guys that he cut, that he salted their reputation.
Right.
Literally, who probably have side jobs now or can't pay the rent or this, that, and the other, who still have the athletic ability or maybe no longer have the athletic ability because they got salted up by somebody who was held in high esteem.
Right.
I think that the lesson here is just what you touched on, which is when you hear people saying some untoward stuff, you have to check them yourself to make sure that you're not a part of the problem in general. And that goes, and nobody's above the law. That goes for me, that goes for you, that goes for
me too?
Definitely goes for David, because David has a serious problem in the back. But besides that, but it does though. You have to be willing. You have to be willing to check people.
Yeah, and there's ways to check, and there's ways to check people without it turning into confrontation. Myself, I'm not afraid of confrontation, but there's ways to say things to people when things are inappropriate. You know, I think that we go too far sometimes with things being inappropriate, meaning I'm on the other side sometimes.
I've been known to crack an inappropriate tag or two.
But because then we all become censored, you know, and we're not being our true selves and honest. But when you start messing up people's livelihoods,
you're messing up people's lives, man.
Yeah, and generationally, you're causing.
It's really it's a microcosm of the overall system, and how people entrusted with power have a responsibility to then in turn be fair, equal, and make the best decisions, because it affects multiple communities.
Exactly. Like Congress people, senators,
all of them. Everyone,
police officers, mayors,
whether
everything.
It's at your house as the head of your household, or whether it's the head of the country, whether it's the head of the organization.
It's about taking responsibility, but society has a problem with that nowadays. We don't take responsibility. It's easy to throw it off on somebody else. And even though the NFL,
it's easy to neglect your own bias.
Yeah, but even though
it doesn't ever seem to reflect what it truly does.
Right. The NFL came down and cracked down on him, but they knew this. They had these emails a long time ago. I mean, they knew about his.
That's why I say it's suspicious about the timing.
They knew about his behavior, just like they won't let all the emails out now. They know. I mean, all these big time companies like that, they supervise. They can't be big time companies without having some kind of control, vetting, or anything. You can't just let a guy like Gruden sit out there and run amok for years in the league and just, oh my God, can you believe he said that? Hell yeah.
Well, because if you say certain things that he's saying then are congruent, you're not gonna you don't say stuff like the guy's got lips like Michelin tires.
Right.
Then that's the only thing you've ever said like that, or it's not a common practice.
Right.
You put some time into crafting that comment.
And he probably thought it was so funny.
Oh, it was the funniest thing you ever heard in his life. Crazy.
And he was feeling himself 10 years ago.
Still feeling himself. He's big money.
He got big money, but he's getting publicly shamed.
He's getting publicly lashed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's rough.
Yeah.
That's rough, especially
with a guy ego and pride.
That's what I was gonna say. Especially
he's all about ego and pride. You know, he walk around putting the Chucky on you.
Yeah.
Go sit down, clown.
Well, see how Icons feels about it. We're on our way to the stadium, folks. We'll come back with you with an espresso shot to cover this fight game later this week. Want to leave you along that line of thought about responsibility with a quote from Frederick Douglass, which is, "The limits of tyrants are prescribed by the endurance of those whom they oppress." We're all in this fight together, folks. You have to continue pressing forward, and you have to fight for what is right and what is true. This is the O-ZONE. I'm your host, Omar Miller. We hope you enjoyed the O-ZONE.
O-ZONE.
Oh, Kendrick!
I'm in love with the lights. This is not just a game. This here is my life. Put the cameras on me, yeah, yeah. Put the cameras on me, yeah, yeah. Put the cameras on me, yeah, yeah. Put the cameras on me, yeah.